This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. Your boy is back! Tortoise is in the building.
Yeah, that's right. I am back.
Yeah, the person that you were talking about when you said the boy is back is the tortoise, not you in the hosting chair.
That was the joke, Landon. You don't have to explain it for the audience.
Landon,
Jesus Christ.
I explained it for myself because I couldn't have you have this kind of like confidence for yourself to be back.
This is why I'm here and you're in the Yinzer adjacent chair.
Listen, I missed yesterday, so I had to wear my Steeler gear today.
Yeah, the floor is yours. By all means, if you want to go down the 9-0 path I did.
Yeah, they might find a way to go 10-0.
Well,
they're just going to give them an extra win because they're playing so good.
Well, they'll win the first playoff game.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, obviously.
After they went out the season, they'll get a bonus win.
I look dark all of a sudden. What the fuck happened?
Yep.
I bet Conrad that.
Oh, I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet him $100 that the Jets will not make the playoffs.
Oh, I thought it was the Giants have 3 years to make the Super Bowl.
I also bet him $100 that the Giants have 3 years to make the Super Bowl, which will, I mean, I could give him 30. It's not going to matter.
Why does he not, like, he just bet you straight up?
Because Daniel Jones,
he does. He has to hate money.
Top 10 quarterback, Daniel Jones.
He was talking about Daniel Jones like he's elite yesterday.
I mean, he should at least try to get some odds.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he give him any.
He bet straight up that a team will win the Super Bowl. Well, he changed it to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
In a 3-year span.
Hard to do.
No book is offering that at 1-to-1.
No.
Listen, man, he had a bad take, but I also had a bad take many years ago where I thought that Cam Newton was going to win like 6 rings. I thought that Cam Newton, like when Cam Newton was that guy.
No, I mean that.
I was like, oh shit, like this is a really good quarterback.
When Cam Newton came out, he was just like crushing it, and then
he didn't.
I mean, people make that comparison to like Patrick Mahomes, right? They're like, he's going to win 6 rings. 6 is a lot.
6 is a fucking
right?
lot, man.
Because nobody has 6 except Tom Brady.
6 is a lot.
So
like, you're basically saying that someone's a generational talent.
He's probably not going to win 6, but you know what he is going to do? Go to the Super Bowl more often than Joe Burrow. Another bet that I have with Conrad.
Mm-hmm. He's going to get
free fucking money.
Yeah, the issue is you're getting free rolled.
No, I am getting free. You're 100% correct.
Right. So like the only person that's losing here is you.
I wonder what the odds were at the beginning of the season for the Steelers to sweep the Bengals, because that's what's going to happen on Sunday.
I'm traumatized, by the way, every time you mention Joe Burrow.
You say Joe Burrows?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now I think about Jill.
Jill Burrow.
Yeah,
Jill was a sexy looking woman.
Who?
We did Smash or Pass.
Oh.
Quarterback edition.
She was the best one.
She was a smoke show.
Mm-hmm. Those blue eyes.
Yeah. Jill Garoppolo was for the streets.
Jenny Garoppolo,
whatever. She was for the streets.
I see why Michelle likes Joe Burrow.
Yeah, well, he's a good-looking guy, I guess. Who knew?
Objectively a good-looking guy, yeah.
All right, you two talk amongst each other for a second. I need to get this lighting fixed.
Oh, my God.
The lighting master.
This guy, yeah.
You know what? Tell us where you've been. Tell me about your travels.
I went back to New York State, just about hour and a half north of the city.
Okay.
Maybe hour and 15 minutes to where Michelle's hometown is. So we got to see some family, some friends.
How long are you gone for?
Thursday to Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really nice.
When's the last time you went to New York?
2019. So before the pandemic.
I've never been.
You've never been to New York?
I've never been to New York.
New York City's really cool. Her town is like this little like basic like Hudson Valley town.
Mm-hmm.
It's it was nice. It was nice to see her brother and her dad and her stepmom. So it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard like when it comes to the lifestyle that's around New York, it's definitely different than most cities. I've heard, just like from the sense of, if I didn't have a license there, it's kind of reasonable.
Yeah. New York City's different than like the other city probably in the States. You don't. She lived there for 10 years and didn't have a car. She had a car upstate that she kept at her dad's place.
I've decided I wanted to grow up, man. I need a license. This is the missing piece.
Vegas, you need a license in Vegas, dude. Everything's too spread out.
This is my
right?
missing piece.
So explain
can't-
to me a little bit of like where Michelle lives, because I tried to understand this when I went to visit her mom. They're like in the city, but not in the city. Like they're not in Manhattan, right?
No.
Well,
Wait,
I mean, she doesn't live there anyway. I know
are you talking about where Michelle lived in the city or where her
her
parents
family
lived?
grew up.
Okay, her family grew up in the Hudson Valley.
Okay, which
Which
means
is
nothing to me.
like an hour and 15 minutes north.
So is that
of the
where
city.
you went to visit?
Yes.
Okay.
So we flew into Newark and then just drove straight up.
Okay, and then no time in Manhattan.
We didn't have it. We didn't have time to go to the actual city.
Okay.
Quick
which was,
facts. The Hudson
disappointing,
Valley
but
is a
yeah.
New York State region that stretches along Hudson River.
There you go.
River, from
Yeah.
Westchester to Albany.
Mm-hmm.
Are you auditioning to be the new reader?
I'm good at reading.
She,
I'm not gonna go.
Yeah, Cornwall, New York is the name of the town.
Cornwall.
Cornwall, New York. It's in Orange County,
Mm-hmm.
where the Orange County
The
choppers
OC.
were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's a place
Not-
I'd like to visit.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Her dad actually knows those guys.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
Well, he owns an auto body shop. Of course he does.
Yeah, those are the kind of those are my people, man. I could get over. I could get along with the Tuttles.
Yeah.
Is that what they were?
Tuttles.
Tuttles? I don't know.
What is that?
Something. The guys who made Orange County Choppers. They made the.
I don't know.
I didn't know
what that
they had
is.
like a little nickname.
What is that?
No, I thought that was their last name.
Oh, Tuttles. Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is that?
They created like custom motorcycles, and it was a father son, and they just like hated each other. So the whole show was just them yelling at each other.
Screaming. Yeah. They
Kind of like
caused
you
drama.
talking on the phone with your mom today.
Wait a minute.
You yelled at Marnie.
Oh my god, ripped her apart. I'm in my
Landon,
room
I'm
going.
ashamed of you.
I'm in my room going. Stop yelling at your mother.
No, it's the conversation was I would like to be an adult, and this is a thing that she does not have control over. So I appreciate your concern, and I know you're watching. I love you, Mom. I love you very much. Let me be an adult, please.
Please, Marnie.
Mom.
Please, Marnie. I beg you, let him grow up.
Let
Time.
me grow up.
It's time.
Time for him to leave the nest.
Yeah, it's
I've
time.
been
Wait.
left the nest. You can leave me in my own lower back injury healing nest. This is a new nest for me. Okay?
Can't be chauffeuring him
Yep.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I hope you fly, kid.
I got a fucking
Uh-huh.
show for myself from now on, man. It's my missing piece, the license.
Yeah, that's the missing piece.
It's one of them.
Man, your shot looks so good today.
Not the
Hey,
shot.
why?
It's me.
While we're on the subject of the Steelers,
Yeah, we're always on the subject of the Steelers.
why didn't I?
I'm okay with
why
that.
didn't you guys mention my Weekend Warrior win yesterday? I think
Uh-oh.
I
thought
think
you had the
because I think it
Buccaneers.
got drowned. No,
I
that
had
was-
Bucks.
he had the
Oh.
Bucks. I had Landon's Miami Dolphins, who took care of business real nice. That was an easy one. I
How
think it
is-
got drowned out in the Steeler talk, which is okay.
How is Tua still alive? Like after all of these hits.
I mean,
He's a strong man.
in my defense to it getting drowned out, Conrad, I don't think Conrad understands the theme of this show. I'm happy to let him take the hosting chair. It takes a load off of me. I think he's good at it. He keeps the conversation flowing, but he doesn't just immediately get to become the face of the show. Like he doesn't get to turn this into his show. There's
No, but
there's
he
no New
does-
York camaraderie here.
But he does. Yeah, that's true.
Right? So like you can't just blow through me taking the Steelers money line without me getting to say a fucking word.
Yeah.
Like this is a goddamn Yinzer show.
Listen,
at the end of the day.
You still own the company.
That's right. That's
gonna
right.
get
We're going to
the-
spend 3 minutes on the terrible
Yeah.
towel and how they're going to go 9-0 down the stretch.
Yeah, that is your privilege for being CEO of this company.
That's right. You're
That
right.
is your
We're not
God-given
suddenly
And,
gonna,
right.
and
yeah.
as your right hand man,
You're goddamn right. The manager.
As
I
also a
needed.
Yinzer.
I needed the manager here
Right.
yesterday to step in, but
I
now
know.
here we are.
I know.
Right.
I
Now he's gone. You
listen to
brought
this
Brian just to get him back for Conrad trying to take
I
your time
watched pretty much the entire podcast while I waited in line
For Taylor
It-
Swift.
for Taylor. No, that's a whole nother story. We're not going to get into
Sure.
that right now. Waited in line at security at Newark Airport. It
Oh my
was
God.
insane. So Michelle has pre-check,
Mm-hmm.
which it's insane that I don't have it. I think it's like $80 for 5 years. Which
Yeah, but
I am-
it's not the money. It's the having to
it's-
go down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to go get fingerprint, all this bullshit you have to go through, right? So that's why I've never done it. Well, I'm going to now. It was insane, dude. Like, so I get to the line and she's like, oh no, the line's back there. And then I look and it's like, there's like a section missing that's down by the food court that they had to cut it off. So I go through the line, get to like where I think the front is, and no, there's a whole nother like 300 people waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm, obviously I pull up the Only Friends podcast.
Right.
And,
What else are you gonna do to kill the time?
And I can't believe that I got through pretty much the whole thing while I was waiting. We got to the airport like probably 2.5 hours early, and I almost missed the flight.
You're a patient tortoise.
That is very
I was.
tortoise-like of
It
you.
was
I would have
very-
not made that flight.
It was very, yeah.
It was tortoise approved.
The thing is with like with Newark, like in New York City, it's just like it's always packed.
Yeah.
And then you don't know what the traffic's going to be like. So, and we're like an hour and a half away from the airport. So it's just like, let's just leave early. Who cares? We'll get dinner down there.
Man, God bless you guys. What a couple.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
If I had a,
You would never make.
No.
You would never survive
No.
if you had to. Right, you can't make flights in fucking Las Vegas.
You can't
which is
make
the
flights from
easiest-
JSX, where
Literally the
there's no-
easiest airport in the country. Like no matter where you are in the city,
I've
you're
never missed a
less than-
flight at McCarran. I miss flights at JSX.
That's the same thing.
It's worse.
No,
No, it's
it's not.
worse. It's much
Not-
worse.
Well,
It's
it's worse, but it's not.
It is worse.
It's worse.
There's no line.
It's a separate airport.
Yeah, it's a private airport.
Where's it at?
It's on the tarmac.
It's like
very
near
close.
it's like near where all the helicopter tours are.
Yeah.
So it's not at McCarran.
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he still misses them.
No,
Yeah.
you don't listen.
That-
It's
still the same
worse,
thing.
but it's sort of not worse. So what it is that
Cope.
at JSX they will board you up until 15 minutes prior to the flight.
Okay.
So, or actually, like it's really like 10 minutes, but you're asking for a
that's the-
favor at that point. And the issue
So
is
you just push the limit. of
the
course, 'cause you-
window keeps
yeah.
getting narrower and narrower, right? Like if I'm not checking a bag and I'm just going to take a Southwest flight, I know that I have like a 30-minute window of where it's just no hope. I'm not going to make it, right? With JSX, it's like I know that I have like a 3-minute window.
Right.
And like I've literally gotten there with like 12 minutes until takeoff, and they're like, okay, we'll accept you. And I just keep pushing
the
it.
thing is like, I know you don't want to waste your time. You're like, well, I'm not going to just like, I don't want to waste my time. So I'll just plan it to get there right when I can. But the problem is that I know, because I know instead you're just sitting in your kitchen on Twitter
Or sleeping.
for a half hour
No.
when you could just leave then and sit on the plane
No,
on
absolutely
Twitter
not.
for a half hour.
First of all,
it's the same thing.
First of all, there's no internet there, so it's a big problem. The cell signal is awful. And secondly, I'm never just wasting the time. I'm utilizing the time. I'm packing. I know this because I'm always rushed to do that shit too. So
Just
it's
do it
like
the night before, like an adult.
no, absolutely not.
Oh, see that-
I'm playing pickleball the night
yeah.
before, like a goddamn adult.
The only time I pack the night before is when I have a super early flight. Like we left, like our flight was our flight was early. I think we left our house at like 4:30, leaving Vegas. So I packed the night before, so I could just get an extra 20 minutes of sleep.
Yeah, the sleep
But-
is
but-
critical.
Mostly, I mean, it only takes me 20 minutes to pack. So like,
Well, sometimes it takes 25. You know,
You don't even
Yeah.
bring a
What-
suitcase, man. You just put it in your backpack.
Listen, I don't need to know all the reasons why I shouldn't miss the fucking flights. I get it.
yeah.
I understand you get it. You just shouldn't miss it.
But
Yeah,
like,
but
if
there's
you
a
lived-
flight afterwards.
If you lived in
Sometimes.
anywhere in New York City and had to,
Oh,
had
I'd
to
be dead.
utilize those airlines,
Stone dead.
you would never.
I
make a
did run
flight.
bad one time at McCarran a couple weeks ago where I had a 10 o'clock Southwest flight booked. So I ended up missing Live at the Bike because of this. So I had a 10 a.m. Southwest flight booked. I go there. Their entire parking garage is closed. Valet, everything, right? And I have
Well,
my
you
car.
always gotta leave early so you can plan for these.
No, there's like no planning though. The only alternative was to park at T3 and shuttle over. And that whole process, if you've ever done it, is like 20 to 30 minutes basically. And it's like, I basically had 30 minutes to catch a flight at this point. So I was like, okay, I'll bail on this. I'm obviously not going to make this flight. I'd be better off parking at fucking MGM and just like Ubering over.
You say like the entire garage was shut down.
The whole T1 garage was closed.
What were people
Is this the day you ran over your protein?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I was so mad at Landon. It wasn't even his fault. It was just
Fuck you.
Yeah, it wasn't your fault. It was just I needed somebody to be mad at.
Yeah,
I had a
it's
whole car loaded up with protein because my assistant didn't have time to bring it over to the house, and she had us loaded into my car. And the fact that like in my head, because Landon knew the protein was in the car and didn't do anything about it, I was mad at him.
Literally, I'll fight you.
I wasn't actually mad at you. I just need someone to be mad at.
Yeah, it's like kicking the dog. Right?
Yeah. So I'm like trying
Never
to
kick a dog.
I'm like trying to put my
It's not the point.
I'm trying to put my bag in the trunk and there's all this fucking protein there and I can't fit it. So I just take a case out and throw it in my driveway thinking like, fuck this, man. Someone will see it whenever they go to the podcast. And then I put my car in reverse and like rip out of the driveway and run over the goddamn box of protein.
I
It
love that
exploded
happened.
everywhere.
I loved that happened because you had no need or necessity to even do that. That you were punished for your actions.
Landon, if it makes you feel any better, I forgive you.
It's
When
not my fault.
I read that in the group text, in my mind it was the powdered protein, right?
Oh,
So it's like
yeah.
like a
Same.
giant tub of powdered protein.
That'd be
And I
so much
figured,
better.
No, yeah, of course. No, it was like Premier like milkshakes.
Ready to drink,
Yeah,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
ready to drink
Out of,
protein,
all
which is
of it?
My
just
driveway
way
looks like,
worse.
yeah, my driveway looks like a dead body decomposed
How
on
much? How many bottles of it? Was everything in there or no?
I
Just
think
only-
some were salvaged, but they probably just got thrown away.
How long did it take Michelle to get through pre-check versus you taking 2.5 hours?
It didn't take 2.5 hours. It took about an hour and 10 minutes to get through, but it took her like I don't know 5-10 minutes
5 minutes?
maybe. Yeah.
Brian, do you have your real ID yet?
No.
Okay, so just to give you a heads up, that was a shit show. That I was there for about an hour and a half as well, and you only
Oh, you
have
should schedule
until-
an appointment. I did mine in like 5 minutes.
Oh my god, it was a nightmare. If
What
I went
is
down
this?
to the DMV, it took so long. Everybody has until May 3rd
Right.
of next year to get your real ID.
So I did see that on it was either on the ticket or something that I was doing with my flight that said like yes at this date, which you said it's May 3rd.
I think it's May 3rd.
Yeah, that you need your real ID to board a plane.
What is
So-
a real ID? Like a state ID or?
Yeah,
It's just
no,
a new
it's-
verification
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Ooh. So everybody needs one of these?
You don't even have driver's license. Don't worry about it.
Well,
Well,
so like
in order to fly, I think you're going to need to get it though.
Yeah, I think so, too.
so passport won't work.
Passport will always work.
Passport will always work.
Yeah.
Okay, because I still have a passport. So,
Another
but yeah,
thing on the
if you're
checklist.
going to the DMV, like always make an appointment. Never just go.
Yeah,
I had
especially
an
not here.
appointment and I was still there for an hour and a half.
Really.
Yeah, it was bad.
Did you have to get your picture taken?
Yes.
I think usually that's why.
Okay.
That tends to be a process. I for whatever reason I didn't have to on mine. I think I was just able to use the same one. But probably a good time to take a pause. Give a huge shout out to this month's sponsor, WPT Global, home of your chance to win your way into the WPT Championship event held at the Wynn this December. That's a $10,400 buy-in, $15 million guaranteed prize pool. WPT Global is giving away satellites. This Sunday is actually the final 8-seat guarantee, which I was unaware of. I thought I had more Sundays to go, so I really messed up. I did not win enough seats. But I think that they are actually doing like a lot more giveaways between now and then, possibly even the week following. So pay attention to WPT Global's socials. I saw them tweet something today about asking if they should give away more seats. I assume the answer will be yes. You guys are all going to want to be a part of that, as there's tremendous value in playing this event. I think it's going to be probably one of the softer 10Ks that come to be. It's going to be a massive field, and to correct something that we said earlier, we actually said that it was unlimited reentries. That's not true.
Limited.
It is
Limited.
one bullet per flight. So there are 3 flights. That means at most you'll get to play 3 times.
Oh, is that true? There's no reentry at all?
No reentry at all.
Oh.
That's good. That's good for the Rex.
So annoying as somebody who's willing to fire, though.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Some
like
of us don't have, $100,000 to
No,
just
not
fire
even that.
unlimited.
Not even that. Like, there was. It doesn't apply to this one because it's such a big event. You're happy to come back 3 days in a row for day ones.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a party poker event that they ran at Aria during the World Series a couple summers ago, and you could fire a max of 6 bullets, but it was 2 bullets per flight, and the other 2 flights coincided with like other good events around town that like basically anybody who was playing a 10K would rather play the other events. And I remember I went on the day that I was able to play this 10K party poker or whatever, and I bust 2 bullets in like brutal fashion, just get like, 2 outed or whatever.
You thought you could.
And I'm just ready to rocket off the remaining 4. And they're like, sorry, come back tomorrow. And I go, fuck you. I'll never be back.
They definitely
did go
saved
back.
you 40,000.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I was in no state of mind to play. I was so mad. I'm arguing with them to buy back in. I'm like, I'm a whale. Take my money. And they're like, we'll take it tomorrow.
Yep.
Didn't you go back?
No. Fuck no, I didn't go back. The Venetian did this to me too. They were running like a 5K of some sort. This was many summers ago. And it was the same thing where like the other flights overlapped. And I remember fucking Joe Liberto just bad beat the shit out of me like over and over and over again. Like,
Is that our new governor?
No,
Lombardo.
it's Lombardo. He like busted me, and then I redrew my same seat back, and he fucking busted me again. And I was so mad, and I go to the window to buy back in. They're like, "You've reached your limit." I'm like, "The fuck I have! Don't tell me how many times I can buy back in."
That's a strong play to
Turned me away.
you
Gotta
bring you
read
back.
the fine print, Matthew.
Yeah. Those are ones that you don't want to find out on accident.
Mm-mm.
Feels real bad, man. Feels
Fine
real
print,
bad.
like how to dunk a basketball, like
Oh,
what
Jesus.
constitutes as a dunk.
Oh, you want to
Wanna
get into that right now?
Oh, while we're here.
All right, we'll get into that right now. We'll talk about this. So Landon, he wasn't even being brash. That's
No.
not what happened here at all. He
I hate these
he
results.
sheepishly admitted that he's never dunked a basketball at 6'4",
Yeah, I was never really in shape.
with freakishly long arms and very big hands.
He had that long hair that would weigh him down too.
No, I just had a lot of weight
Understand.
that would weigh me down.
I, on the other hand, at 6 foot, have dunked many times. As recently as 12 years ago.
I was in high school.
Yeah. When you were back in your 20s.
No, well, yeah, I was 20. It was the last year we lived at Mesa Verde.
You were in your 20s.
I told Greg, we were playing basketball like literally every day, and I go, I'm dunking. Like, we didn't even make a bet. It was just me, him, and Pete, and I was just like, I'm fucking dunking. Like, I was getting so close. I was way, way, way above the rim. Like, I was getting like mid forearm into the rim, but I can't palm the ball.
Stubby hands.
They're not. Yeah.
You have stubby fucking hands, man. Just accept it. You have stubby hands and alien and sausage fingers.
I don't have sausage fingers. They're not fat fingers, but I do have short fingers. I'm a lot of palm. So I actually have like relatively big hands, but if you can see,
A lot of palm.
Let's see.
I'm a
let's see your
lot of
hands.
palm.
I have alien.
Oh,
I have
that can palm a basketball
I have
right there.
alien fingers.
Yeah, see, he has proportional hands. His fingers are as
Let's
long
just say
as his
all
palm.
the advantages are in Landon's favor.
Correct, absolutely. And I said, well, you may have all the edge here, young man, and I may be a decrepit old person,
But you're stubborn.
but I've dunked before.
It wasn't even like I was saying I can dunk, you can't. It was
No,
just
that's exactly what
I
you
would
said.
like. No, it wasn't. It was.
That was precisely what happened.
It's now okay.
Well, that's
he's-
what I fucking heard.
That's because your ears don't work.
Uh-huh.
I literally said I would like to be able to dunk a basketball, and you go, I've dunked a basketball before, and I go, okay. You want to be able to dunk a basketball again? You say yes. I go, all right. Let's bet before the World Series starts that we can both dunk a basketball.
This
and you go,
motherfucker
okay.
trying to make it
how
sound
much
like-
is it? And I said, 2K. Sure. That's exactly what fucking happened in the gym, and you're trying to conflate it to being something else. There's no ego battle.
Listen to him turn into this some altruistic like thing. He's like, Matt, I'd like to help you
I
dunk a
look
basketball
effective.
game.
Look, effective
Look, Brian,
altruism.
we literally booked this bet, and then he goes, you know what? These odds don't seem very fair. I either want to use a volleyball, I either want more
No,
time when
no.
you do it, or I want to decrease your time. And I said, you know what? I'll only go till my birthday then.
For what it's worth,
We already booked the bet. I could have said, fuck you.
I said I would accept the bet that we booked. I just wanted to book a second bet where I either got to use a mini ball. We decreased the amount of time that he had to dunk.
Mini ball?
Yeah.
Like a ball's like that big?
Yeah, or a volleyball.
Like a
Volleyball.
woman's size ball.
Anything I could palm.
Women's
I could palm
ball.
a volleyball.
Not
Uh,
volleyball. Too easy. It's a little bit deflated in relation.
Well, whatever. Like
You use a
literally, I
women's
just want
basketball.
any ball that I could palm.
Women's basketball.
So I basically said to level it off because you're 6'4" and you're going to dunk. If you don't, like, I'll find you the barn to take yourself behind. I'd like it if you even this up a little bit. Like, I'm still going to take the worst of it, but it'd be nice if you threw me a bone.
Oh, so you want a second bet?
I was happy to take a second bet, but you just amended the first,
Do
which
you
is also
want
fine.
a second bet?
I would like to take as much action as possible if people are willing to lay me odds. I think I'm like 15% to dunk.
I want in on the 1-to-1.
Yeah, I don't want 1-to-1, obviously. But I basically said, like, okay, I either want you to have to dunk faster so that it makes it a little bit more fair, or I get to use a mini ball, or you have to dunk with two hands. Because I don't care what the outcome of this is. I don't think Landon's dunking with two hands anytime soon.
The fuck is your... relax.
You should go with.
It's a huge difference.
You should go with sooner. That's your.
Relax.
That's
That is what he went with.
I went with
that's
my
what you should
birthday.
go
Yeah.
with.
So if I
The
can't
other two
dunk,
are much more difficult.
Two hands is way different skill set
way different.
than
if
than
I can't
like
dunk
even
by the
even
time I'm
on
24, I deserve it.
even on lowered hoops where I can do like a lot of different types of dunks, like coming under the hoop
Call it
and
9.5 or 9 feet. There's a
probably
difference.
like 9.5, but like whatever, just anything where I can not just dunk but like do tricks. I still will struggle to dunk with two hands. So like even when I do like two-handed dunks on, like if I do a reverse, I'm not doing it in a traditional just like walk up to the hoop, jump off 2 feet, grab the rim kind of way. I'm doing it in a run off of 1 foot coming from behind me like that.
Yeah.
So like when it comes to just like traditionally dunking the ball with two hands, it's very difficult, especially if you're a 1 foot jumper like me. So that was like what I thought was actually going to be the most level is him having to dunk two hands before I dunk one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to get a market out there. I think, I don't know what odds would I take. I would probably take like 4-1 on a hefty number that I can dunk.
4-1?
Before the
I-
WSOP,
Yeah, I think I'm like 15%.
I need
actually.
to get
With a
my
regular
back
ball?
healed.
Yeah, like nothing in my favor. Just I basically just get
train.
unlimited attempts between now and the WSOP, and if I dunk once, I win.
It's like we're trying to do what Mike did with free throws, but just dunking a basketball.
Yeah, except the difference is like free throws is just a trained.
Yeah.
Trial and error. Like
Yeah.
train.
A lot of people can do that. With
You can
enough
build in
practice.
accuracy
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
practice.
you can. I think.
Yeah.
and
Sometimes you're just
anybody
physically
can-
limited. Like some people just, I'll never be able to dunk a basketball. No matter
So
what
I haven't
do.
even like attempted in probably 7-6. I don't even know the last time I played basketball. So maybe like 7 or 8 years. And the gym we're at, they have a vertical
Pole.
jump
Yeah, they have a pole.
test. So I took a big run yesterday, and he had set the 10 foot, and I jumped as hard as I possibly could, and I felt like I never left the ground.
You didn't hurt yourself.
He
did
did hurt himself. Actually, he
I
scratched his
stabbed
hand.
my hand on the pole.
He's-
Oh.
I like braced myself.
Yeah.
But I legitimately didn't even feel like I left the ground. I was like, I could not have been more than 3 inches off the ground, and I
you.
need
So
to
there's
find.
some work to be done.
I need to find about 30.
Yeah.
He needs to find like you need to find like 30 inches. I probably need to find like 8 or less.
Yeah.
Honestly, because with the thing, I still have like my fucked up lower back at the moment. Like very easily can just like swing and hit over 10 feet. But my form for jumping is very poor. I don't know how to jump correctly.
Yeah,
But once I figure out how to jump, I'll be good.
Yeah, I'm counting on the fact that building the athleticism to actually dunk takes time.
I think someone
I'm
like
probably
Landon,
close.
Yeah.
I'm pretty close.
Yeah. I think you're a pretty big favorite to be able to dunk at 6'4".
I think-
with your wingspan
I think that if I
and the right
don't,
training.
if I think I can get there probably within a couple months. If my back was healed, like I can definitely do it before my birthday. It's not like I really
Yeah.
need my birthday as a hard stop.
The back is the that's the
At the moment, that's my big issue.
These charts,
issue,
these vertical leap charts aren't really worth all that much because they measure you at a standstill jumping off of
just
2
jumping
feet,
straight up. Yeah.
which is pretty meaningless. Like,
No one does that. What do you need that for?
well, no, you do, and it matters. That's the best way to jump or to judge like
How high you can jump?
what you're
They do
capable
that
of
in like
from
the
an
NFL
explosion.
combines.
Yeah,
Right, but they're already monsters, right? The average person is not a jumping monster.
That's not the point. The point of the test is to measure like what you could vertically leap in, one bound. But when it comes to dunking a basketball, that's not the movement. Right?
Is
like,
that a movement in anything?
yeah, of course. Volleyball and I
You're
mean
still running.
even in basketball. No, you're not.
In volleyball, you are. You
You
have to
take an approach of 2 steps.
Yeah, but you run and you jump. You don't just stand there straight and then jump.
Not necessarily.
If you're going to block a shot, you're already at the net.
Yeah,
so
if
you're
you block-
basically
if you
jumping
block your
straight up.
stance still.
Right, but they still step into it.
No,
Correct. There's one step. I would
There's a
agree
step.
with that.
I'm
there's
saying
not
it's,
a step if you're blocking.
Right. If you're
I
direct,
played club volleyball.
no, he's
Like,
right. If you're direct, just picture yourself right up
You
against
just
the
stand
net.
against the net
You're
like
right
this.
up against the net. There's nowhere to step to. You
Yeah, you
just
stand
jump
against the
straight
net
up.
like
Still
this and you
get- I
jump
would
straight
s-
up.
Guapo and I are both on the side that you take a little
I'll tell you
step.
what, I would fucking love to play volleyball against both of you.
Yeah,
because I would-
before dunking.
Here we go.
I would love to watch this
Now we have
monkey.
another bet. Like,
This monkey fuck a football.
Who can spike?
Well,
the
I don't know,
ball
but if you guys
harder?
are taking an approach to play defense on volleyball, I feel pretty good about my side.
Listen, man, you're fucking 40 and washed. Relax.
That's fine. I'll take my lumps.
Relax.
Hey, I'll take my lumps. Get in there, tall boy.
Relax. I need my back to be healed.
He'll actually be 41 when this contest takes place.
Only if I don't end it sooner.
Decrepit,
You're gonna
withered.
end it before end of January.
Maybe.
No.
Hey, I saw an old man run a fucking marathon in just over 3 hours, smoking 3 packs of cigarettes along the way.
He can probably dump.
All right.
This man, his entire lungs are lined with tar. It doesn't matter.
I don't know, man. Look at this fucking guy.
I mean,
What a hero.
I love how they
hero.
have an action shot of him smoking.
Look at him. Him actually like lighting up.
Exactly.
Imagine like being in the like back like backdraft of that, where you can't keep up with the fucking guy who's just smoking a pack in your face.
P-Kids is what we call the exception to the rule. Not everybody is be able to do that.
It's a culture, man. They just train. You know what happens is that's how they get your VO2 max up. Is they start you off with a handicap. They say, all right, smoke this pack, and now go run up a fucking mountain. Tell me how you feel.
Incredible.
I would love to have Conrad run a marathon while vaping. Just vaping the whole fucking way.
How long do you think it'd take him to do it?
A day.
A day.
Maybe a week.
Conrad
How far
likes to
is a
think
marathon?
that he's
26.2.
26.2.
Yeah.
I mean, Lynn won her bet with the marathon within what, 8 hours?
Yeah. I mean, it's a laughable pace. It's literally a walk.
Is that what it was? That was the bet, was 26.2 in 8 hours.
Yeah. So it's like 3.3 miles per hour. It's literally a walk.
Yeah.
What's the furthest you guys have ever run in one stretch?
4 miles for me.
I have
I think
no
that's
idea.
about right for me too.
I think
think
we
I-
were like closer to 10 in college.
You
10
just ran for 10 miles straight? or?
There
when
were
you
weeks
training for baseball.
Yeah, there were weeks where we would do like 50 miles total over the course of like 6 days.
Yeah.
Like treadmill or just track?
No, always.
Was it
beating the
track or
pavement.
like Indian runs? Where like the guy in
Neither.
the back had to run to
We
the front?
did Indian runs for punishment, but like almost all of our running was just beating the pavement around Erie. Like we would run the fucking peninsula and back.
Was it like as a team or people just did it individually and you had to have these miles
Team.
done?
Yeah.
I was never
brutal.
never a runner. Like it just.
It was crazy, like how quickly I developed into
one.
one. I went from being the guy who couldn't complete a mile in under 8 minutes to being the pace setter.
So I think human beings are natural runners,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like I think
That's how we used to hunt.
Most people can train up. Like if you do the right training, like almost not anybody, but like if you're in relatively good shape, I think you can train up to run a marathon.
Yeah,
Like,
you can
almost
train up to
people can
run
do
it, but how well you perform at it matters according to your genetics.
Yeah.
Like
VO2 max?
I have a very, very, very high VO2 max, and I didn't discover it until I like got myself in good enough shape to be able to do.
Explain VO2 max.
It basically means that you can like your muscles will be saturated with more oxygen, so you're just more efficient with your oxygen.
It has to do with
capabilities.
lungs as well, right? Like how much you can breathe, like how much
your
you
lung
can hold.
capacity?
It all
probably?
starts with your lung capacity, yeah, but it's how oxygen. I never get this word.
Oxygenated.
Oxygenated. Yes,
Oxygenated.
I always try to I displaced the G. Oxygenated your blood is. So it's the same thing with like free divers. They'll have like an incredibly high VO2 max, so it allows them to
As
hold their
they
breath
go
longer.
underwater,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
That's what makes the guy who's chain smoking so incredible.
His
'cause, like,
VO2 max is just ridiculous.
honestly, he
mean-
might just be a fucking alien living on carbon dioxide.
might be.
You know, just
Or
fucking.
eggshells.
Why? You know, I'm
Like-
the one with this. You think I don't have that
I
fucking
think you do.
segue in my head?
I
Listen,
do.
I know where I was going with
I
that,
know
man.
you do. It doesn't
You
have
guys-
to always be you,
God,
man.
Hey,
Damn it.
Hey, you guys do this to Conrad.
What's
too.
the issue? There's no
Conrad's
issue
the
here.
worst.
I love Conrad's segue.
Speaking of,
Speaking of aliens, you think that's where I was? God, I had such a gem lined up, and now all of a sudden,
I knew it. I saw
you
it.
know
I
what,
kept my
man?
mouth
You know
shut.
what, man? You want your shine? You can have your shine. I'll
no, I
stop.
don't want my shine. I
You want
want
your
to. I
shine.
want to be able to navigate the show correctly without you stepping on my dick along the way.
All right, navigator.
You know?
Fucking lead the way.
What am I supposed to do with these eggshells now? We've already gone through the tweet.
No, we
Let's
didn't.
see.
Yeah, it's been up. It's been up. It's been down.
Put it back up again. Look at this guy.
Christ almighty.
I hate how you take the worst fucking pictures too, but I'm not going to talk about
What are you
it.
talking about?
I
You look
think
fine
that's
there.
a great picture.
I agree.
What are you talking
It's a
about?
bad angle. Terrible
No,
angle.
it's not about the angle.
Terrible
Look at
angle.
that. You're
You actually look
smiling,
tall.
You look so happy.
I actually
with your
look tall. I
eggshells.
am fucking tall. I don't have to look tall.
I I mean,
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
you
look,
do
those-
have to look tall
those-
because you are tall.
Those pecs are like peeking out of your.
Well, let's not go too far.
Brown
out of
hardware,
your, out of
baby.
your shirt. So tell us about the eggshells.
Yeah, well, I heard they were good for you, so I started eating
Well,
them.
they are. I believe they.
Yeah. Apparently, you're supposed to boil them or something, but like, how different can it really be?
Did
Everyone
you?
keeps saying you get salmonella from raw eggs, you get salmonella from eggshells. If I get sick, I get sick.
So what
okay?
did you do? You had some raw eggs today?
No, Matt used eggs to make pancakes.
And
like
you
the
said,
batter
hey,
for
keep
pancakes.
those shells.
He just had them on the counter, and I just took one and ate it.
That's the first time you tried
Not
it?
one.
No. I took them all at some point. I took one, and then I took another one, and then I
Not
took
one.
the third one, and then I took the fourth one.
Not 2, not 3,
Not four.
but 4.
No, it was four.
4 used eggshells.
He's
What's
the
the
LeBron
issue?
James
He
of
was
eggshell
eating them like apples.
Yeah. So okay,
I've tried it before. Just I was curious. I was like, oh, this actually tastes pretty good.
it tastes good.
I think it tastes good.
Did
Yeah,
it,
but
like
I'm
was
weird.
it like gritty? It feels
Yeah.
like it would be very gritty.
It is.
And then like kind of like
You've never gotten like a piece of a shell in an egg?
yes.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Right, a tiny little
It's the
piece. Though, right,
worst.
yeah. Like it would.
Grow up.
If to me, it'd be like sticking a handful of sand in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's not sand. It's
It's
crunchy
not
sand.
sand.
I like how this little softy thinks that this is what makes him fucking hard.
What are you
Like-
talking about?
Like, I eat eggshells for
That
breakfast,
doesn't make
motherfucker.
that doesn't make me anything.
Stay hard. Grow up. I'm out here.
He's like, oh, it doesn't
I'm out here
taste
on my
good.
grind, eating these eggshells like they grits.
No.
This guy will literally eat anything.
Yeah. I don't like wasting food.
I know. Like,
He's Mikey.
But like, I don't think throwing eggshells away is wasting.
I don't
food.
eat all of them every time I cook eggs. Sometimes you're like, you know what? This kind of tastes good.
Yeah.
I had bone broth. You put bone broth in the egg, and then you just eat it. Tasted good. If it didn't taste good, I wouldn't fucking eat it.
Hey, to each their own, man.
True, but
Each their own.
there's literally nothing that you don't like.
Not particularly, I don't think.
Yeah.
I haven't
There's
come across
one
any.
food you could do without your whole life. what would it
Eggshells.
No, they're fine.
be? No, eggshells are rising on the list.
Yeah, eggshells are
They're like
coming
a
up
top
in
10
value.
at this point.
They're booming.
I don't know. I'd have to. I'm sure there's stuff though.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's stuff, but Melissa said she was gonna get like a century egg. It was like an egg that's been fuck.
Around for a century.
And no, I mean the idea is
It's
like
like
the egg
fermented.
looks really gross,
It doesn't just look gross. It is gross.
but it probably isn't gross because people still eat them.
Have you
It's
ever
like
had?
a delicacy in maybe in
Have
like
you ever
somewhere
had
in
like an
Europe.
ostrich egg? You know,
I have
those
not.
big-ass
That's what I said.
eggs. Yeah.
Actually, the real test is if you want balut. Do you know what balut is?
I do know what that is, but I've
Okay.
never tried it.
That's an egg where it's almost a chicken.
Ugh,
Oh.
nobody wants that. Yeah, nobody wants that. Although I'm sure fucking alien boy over there would just be snacking on the goddamn toenails.
I said I'd be willing to. I would be willing to try something. The issue is you're the one that's making these assumptions or
there you
things
go.
of that
Look at
nature
that.
without actually trying it. See, you haven't even tried
Oh,
it.
it's like a baby chicken
I don't
in there.
want to fucking try it.
No, I
What do
can't.
you do? You just drink it?
Oh,
Oh,
no.
God.
Oh, Jesus.
You just drink it. You just put it in your mouth.
Oh, no.
I feel like they're just drinking the embiotic fluid.
Yeah.
No,
and they
no.
just-
The
well-
thing is, there's no reason to.
Oh
Right.
Christ!
There's just no.
Just eat the whole thing.
Yeah,
why
you
why
wanna
are you
know-
making it a big
You
deal?
want to know how that
there's
tastes
just
better?
No reason to.
You want
do
to know how that tastes better? Just as a fucking yolk.
Look,
That
it's
was
really,
really
good.
good.
I'm gonna throw up.
But here's the thing: the only reason why like everyone feels that way is because it's very foreign, right? You've never actually tried it and been like, "Oh, this is disgusting," right?
Sure.
It's a fair statement. If you tried it and was like, "Oh, wait, this is actually gross," then you wouldn't eat it again.
Yeah, I think that's the human body is meant that way to not stick
Correct.
foreign things
Right.
in their mouth.
Like no
because we
part of
don't
me
know
wants to
what
stick
it
a
is.
snail in my mouth.
Right.
Snails taste good. What do you
Yeah.
mean?
I don't care.
Yeah, like
I just don't care.
You're just being a child.
No, I'm
I
not.
don't want to eat this because I think it looks gross.
Unless I'm stranded on an island where I need to survive off of this type of shit, I don't need to be eating larvae
I'm
or bugs or snails or any of this
yeah, I'm
nonsense.
pretty open-minded about my food choices, but there
That's-
is a limit.
I want to make a new bet now. If you
It's
can't do
not
something, you have to
unlimited.
eat. You have to get one of those. And you have to eat it.
No, absolutely not. I'd rather pay you money.
I would rather see you eat the fucking bird.
Much rather pay you money.
Eat the bird.
I don't want to eat the fucking bird.
Eat the bird.
This would be my biggest struggle.
Listen, man, successful people are the ones that break the rules. Now eat the bird.
All right. All right.
You listen here.
You want to
eat
be
the-
successful?
You eat the
motherfucker?
fucking bird.
You eat the fucking bird. You want to live in the penthouse? You gotta break the goddamn rules and eat the bird.
Go from the hen house to the penthouse.
You better eat the bird.
That's right. You want to know who's successful? The fox in the hen house, not the goddamn chickens.
Yeah. Because the fox isn't even allowed to be in there. He broke the rules to get in there.
That's right.
He eating good.
Oh, man.
It's never going to die.
Shout out to the hashtag Success for Dummies, my man, Nikki
S4D.
V.
Sad.
We're replacing we're replacing all the Nikki P's with Nikki V's. Oh man, that was good. See, those are the ones that I really appreciate. You don't got to step on my transitions.
Your transactions.
Or my transactions for that matter. You work your side of the street, I'll work mine, buddy.
Listen, if you're trying to bet Matt on him being able to dunk a basketball, talk to Matt.
I'll
Matt
take
at
odds.
transactions.com.
Yeah, Landon's like Landon's like, did you get any other bets? I'm like, no, I haven't like put anything out publicly yet. He goes, oh, it's gonna be tough since you laid me 1-1. I'm like, I'm not fucking giving anybody even odds on me dunking a basketball. You think I think I'm 50-50 here?
I think I found it very funny though when I posted the tweet in itself, just that you and I could both dunk a basketball.
Yeah.
The amount of people that did not know, like A, how tall I was, B, like wingspan, or anything that was actually relatively important. It was like, oh, you can never dunk a basketball in your life.
What? Oh, you're saying they said that without knowing.
Exactly, without knowing the things that are actually important, where I probably don't even have to jump that fucking high. I just have to be able to jump. And I've never actually been in good condition ever until very recently, where
This is the calm before the storm.
yeah, I'm gonna do fucking 360s and shit.
Oh, this kid doesn't know the pain of getting stuffed by the fucking rim.
Oh, I know the pain. I will know the pain.
He's gonna be on the NBA All-Star dunk contest.
No, definitely not.
No,
But
he's gonna be laying flat on on his back in the fetal position, going,
No.
Doctor said I need a backiotomy.
I've done that already. Where when we were younger, we had a basketball hoop in our driveway, and it was an adjustable rim. So when we were younger, we would just have the adjustable rim and put it down to 8 feet or 7 feet and dunk. Sometimes you fucking missed, or one time I hung on the rim and actually like fell the wrong way and I landed on my back, and that shit fucking hurts.
I gotta tell you, man, listening to these stories makes me a lot more confident in my side.
There's no side. The side is you still having to be able to dunk.
Well,
You're 40 and decrepit.
I get
Relax.
as long as you don't dunk, I'm free rolling.
As long as you can't dunk, I'm still free rolling because I'm gonna be able to dunk. It's not gonna be that hard. You saw how high could everybody get on the
That's not that high.
on the 10-foot thing.
Yeah, that wasn't that high.
It was exactly how high it needed to be.
All right, so you gave yourself Burke
15%.
15%. That's great.
I think Landon.
Yeah, where you have Landon at?
I mean, I haven't seen him
you have
move.
him above 50%.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen him move with the basketball or anything like that. But I think he's somewhere between like 50 and 65%.
And why did you bet 1-1?
I'm a nice guy. I'm gracious.
How much basketball do you think I played in my life?
I don't care.
A lot or a little?
I don't care.
I played a lot of fucking
I
basketball.
don't care. That means nothing.
I know how to move.
I've played very little basketball. What's your point?
I'm saying is I know how to move with the basketball. That's what happened, but I didn't land on my neck. I landed on my back. I didn't do that.
That's gonna be my first 25 attempts.
That's gonna be you with the whipping and nay-naying all over the place.
my biggest challenge will be getting the ball into the hoop. Like
wow, his biggest challenge would be dunking the basketball.
Oh, you're an idiot. When you can't palm the ball, you do a lot of spiking off the back of the rim because you're cupping, like the Stevie Francis, where you're going from cupping to overturning.
You lose the ball in the air.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's not that you lose it; it's that
you just can't hold on to it.
You can't hold it out.
Control it as much.
Well, you can't hold it out like Jordan does, right? So it's like, since you can't outreach like this, you have to like
You have to dump your hand over.
Yeah, you have to like stay tight the whole way through until you come through. And now you're like really bringing a lot of force.
Almost, yeah,
you're bringing like a lot of force with you. So what happens is the ball separates like right here. And if it's not on the trajectory to go down, it goes back iron.
Wow.
Man,
I haven't played basketball in so long. I'm very excited.
Are you gonna start playing basketball too?
I would like to. It's been a while, but it seems like the ease of access to doing that is actually difficult.
They run at UNLV.
Right, you have to go to UNLV. When I was at Florida State, I just walked to the gym.
Wow.
Right. I'm have to get a car first.
Enter the car. Enter the driver's license.
Enter the car. Because for me, like I can just palm and just like put my hand over. For you, you have to bring your entire hand over like that.
Always talked about.
What is happening?
That's Olivia Rodrigo.
I know.
It's a great song.
I know. Don't make me start singing Taylor Swift. Someone here on Ticketmaster trying to get my tickets.
We heard all
goddamn
too
shit show.
We heard All Too Well in the car before going to the gym. And I was thinking about, I was like, this is Jake Gyllenhaal, right? I'm like, how long do you think Taylor Swift was with Jake Gyllenhaal for making that song? And I was like, 3 days. 3 days.
No, they were together for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we went out on one date, and then you broke me.
That'd be fine by me. Sign me the fuck up.
You want a song written about you.
I do. I absolutely want to. I want to date Taylor Swift and I want to break her heart.
What about if Nikki Glaser made a comedy skit about you? Would you take that?
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah,
yeah,
that's
no,
interesting.
that would be good. I mean, the problem is that like
And then you have
there's
to listen
nothing
to it.
complimentary about being the butt of that joke.
Right.
So it's like.
But you're etched in history.
It would depend on like how close our relate. Like if we just hooked up one time, I wouldn't care if she made a joke about it, obviously. But if we dated for like 2 years and she just preyed upon every single insecurity of the relationship, that'd be fucking tough.
And then you just have to go to the show. And
Yeah.
you'd
You
have
guys
to
just
hear
have to
it.
watch
You'd
it.
have to be in the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she gave it to Jake Gyllenhaal pretty hard. I mean, if you're Dear John, though,
No,
about
never.
John Mayer, that
Oh.
one's worse.
Wow,
Check that one
I got to
out.
hear it.
Check out Dear John.
That's
That
our
one's-
homework.
That one might be even worse. Yeah.
I would be
He
happy.
took her V card,
Ooh.
and it's she. You know, he was a lot older than her.
Yeah, she seems to follow a trend.
Yeah.
It seems
Good
to be a bit of a
singers or
trend with
Objectively looking
Tay-Tay.
men.
What's the trend?
older looking or older singers in the same industry as her.
I think when she was younger, because she was more.
All too
Yeah.
well.
Hey, man, if Taylor wants to go on a date, I'm here.
Nah, she's in a solid relationship now.
Wow.
Yeah, for now. Of course, that motherfucker's scared stiff.
Yeah, you know what happens if
They've been
he
together
doesn't-
for.
Yeah, you
7
think he
years?
doesn't mind his P's and Q's? Every day he's
Wait-
sitting there
wait a minute,
leafing through her journal,
she
making
made
sure.
this song about Jake very recently, even though it was like years ago.
No. She made this song. This song came out back in the Red album, and then she
Wow.
redid the Red album because she had to, because
For
so she
licensing.
could get so she could get the rights to her music. And it was only like a 4-minute song back then, but she said that she written like a whole bunch of like extra lyrics for it, but didn't put it in the song, and then she decided to re-release that.
It's so
as
funny.
A 10-minute.
I
I
listened to the
see.
10-minute version, and I don't even notice where the addition is.
Have you heard the?
Yeah, but it just like
4-minute
the song is like composed so well. I don't recognize that it's even 10. Like you barely even
Yeah.
get to the chorus twice throughout the whole 10 minutes. She's just
A lot
what a
of
storyteller.
Yeah. Oh, she's the best.
Man, I can't even imagine then what this next song's gonna be if it doesn't go well. If it's not all too well.
I have to tell you, I would be fine being the person that All Too Well was written about. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No, yeah.
You know,
You're just a heartbreaker.
well, you know, not me, but you know,
No,
I
it
wouldn't
would
mind
be
being
you.
Jakey in this in this particular situation.
So yes, you would be the heartbreaker.
Yeah, well,
That's who you are in the song.
better than the alternative. Am I right?
The heartbroken.
Yeah, I don't want to write the song.
Right.
Nobody wants to be that guy.
I-
Landon wants to
what's-
be that guy.
What the guy that like
Has his heart
spills his heart out onto a piece
just
of paper?
ripped out of his chest and
Yeah,
stomped
no,
all
I
over.
probably read a blog post about it or something. Hey guys, I got my heart broken. Here's the experience I had. If you gain something from that, great. If not, here's my pain. here it is on the piece of paper.
Oh man! All
For
right.
you.
While we're on the subject of blog posts and if people gain any value from it, let's talk a little bit about this Patrick Howard tweet.
Yeah.
So Patrick, yeah, because you let me get there, man. I appreciate you. you're my Scottie Pippen.
All too well.
All too well. So Patrick put this tweet out a couple days ago, and he said, "Stuck on what bet sizes to use in no limit cash games? Here are all the bet sizes I suggest you use on flop and turn. Use this strategy if you want to get to the river simply with a balanced range and dramatically simplify and study your play. Dramatically simplify your study and play."
Is this exclusively for cash games?
I mean, yeah, because the variable stack sizes on
Right.
MTTs don't really allow for you to
Just because you're so
generalize like this.
Sometimes you
shallow.
want to bet one big blind instead of 30%.
Yeah, we just like know we consistently know what the SPR is in cash. Like single raise pot, it's going to be like 10 to 15. 3-bet pot, it's going to be like 4 to 7, depending on depth.
Yeah.
Whatever. So the sizes he chooses, I believe, are range bets for 30% when in position. Did he use the same sizing out of position mixed with checks?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
30%.
Yeah. Okay. So
I
he
know
uses,
Patrick. He keeps things clean.
Yeah. So he uses c-bet sizings of 30% whether he's in or out of position in single raise pots. The only difference is he mixes in more checks when he's out of pots. Then he has, he says, if you want to add a larger size c-bet or an overbet on specifically boards with 2 high cards, especially from late position, you can, but make sure you have a plan moving forward because things get complicated, which is obviously true. He says for flop stabs in position in single raise pots, 50%. So that's when check 2, I assume. So if you're the in position caller, he's betting half pot when check 2. Stabs in position in 3-bet pots, he's betting third pot again. Flop c-bets out of position in 3-bet pots, he's using half. Flop c-bets in position, he's using third for 3-bet pots. And then as far as double barrels go, he's basically just using 70% pot across the board. And if you're out of position, sorry, that's for all the in positions. Double barrels out of position, he's using 50%. Yeah. Oh, my bad. Double barrels in single raise pots, he's using 70% across the board. He'll mix in 120%
in position
in
only.
position only. Double barrels out of position, he uses 50%. Double barrels in position, he uses 70%. And I think that's it. He doesn't talk about river sizings. So basically, standard is going to be, he's going to be range betting a lot in position for 30%. He's going to be using a 30% c-bet sizing out of position in single raise pots as well as checks. Double barrels, he's just mostly going to be using 70% pot. He'll be using half pot when c-betting in 3-bet pots or when stabbing when check 2 in single raise pots. And he'll be using 50% pot as a double barrel size when out of position in 3-bet pots. What do you think of this simplified sizing matrix?
I think it's really smart. I think that when it comes to most people and making decisions anyways, to being an online winning player in cash at very low to mid stakes, and even when you get to high stakes in some environments, like of course the Stars 2K pool is going to be different than the Ignition 2K pool, so to speak, or the ACR 5K pool. But when it comes to making the simple decisions and having a strategy, I am a firm believer that having sims and running things for yourself where you're playing a strategy that you're going to use is super important. Because if something mixes 3 sizes and you're only playing 1, you're going to get an answer that doesn't actually help with your own study and play. So if you have a simplified betting metric and options throughout the entire game tree for flop, turn, and river, you can then start to actually learn something and simplify and understand your own strategy. I think playing multiple sizes in a bunch of different spots isn't necessarily the most important thing, but knowing how to play your own strategy is very important. Like for myself personally, when it comes to certain ideas, I know some flops like bigger sizes than smaller. Some flops like ace, ace, deuce, rainbow, button versus big blind, you're gonna want to bet small with your entire range. So I know that that's just a range bet for 1 big blind. So I bet 1 big blind. There's some other boards called like 10, 8, 5 rainbow where you want to play an overbet or a check. And the idea there being that you want to leverage the overpairs. So in that spot, I won't play a small bet. I'll only play the overbet or check. So in those nodes, I'll realize, okay, these boards call for different sizes. I know what those sizes are. Playing multiple is definitely allowed, but the EV difference is very, very small. So I'd rather know my strategy than play 2 sizes.
Yeah, I think that's
extrapolate that throughout the game tree.
I think that's relatively fair. I think my pushback to this level of simplification is that as important as it is for you to understand your strategy, and I do agree with that point, like it's pretty critical for you to be able to study all these lines as you're going to apply them. It's equally as important to understand the counter strategies. And the issue begins, from my perspective anyway, with the way that I've utilized sims. If you reduce the vision of the solver to these simple lines, it's not that you're giving up that much EV. That's not the bigger concern. The bigger concern is that you're limiting the scope of your comprehension of what actually can occur, not what is actually occurring, right? But what actually can occur. So in other words, like when you only have a 30% pot bet as a C bet size in position and you choose it on a plethora of boards or whatever the case may be, and we start talking about like the board textures where you could have a larger size mixed with check, right? So it could be big, small, and check, and you personally simplify to big and check, but we now are executing small. As a defender who sees that, the defender is going to be, or at least is likely to be, operating off of their own methodology of study, right? And they're likely to be studied in multiple sizings. So they're probably going to assume that you're mixing between big, small, and check rather than just range betting small. And now what ends up happening is the counter looks different, right? Because they have to account, or at least they should account, that if that other size occurs, then this range is not constructed the same as if it doesn't occur, right? Additionally, what ends up happening that I think is worse, or the bigger issue here for the simplified strategy, is when you're on the defense. So now when you face 120% pot in a spot where you're only studied into 30% pot, how do you respond, right? For me, studying complexity isn't about what I can apply. It's about me being able to recognize how to react to opponents who are more studied in these lines than I am.
My pushback would be, do you think that's important to beating 100 and L?
That's not fair, because you're changing the contextualization of the advice. You're basically saying that at some level, a simplified strategy will do well for people who don't have an alternative.
Which is true.
Correct.
Yes.
No, nobody would ever argue that point.
Right.
Okay.
The point that I'm arguing is that it comes with a very, very, very limited ceiling. And basically anybody who's competent enough to study simplified sizings is also competent enough to look at more complex sims.
But do you think you should start with the simplified and then extrapolate out, or do you think it's better to just study everything and then hone in?
Well, I think it, well,
Like-
I think it just depends on like the type of learning style, right? Some people like the fire hose approach, and other people, like I personally would prefer the fire hose approach, right? Because I get the full context and I can just, I think it's important for me to be able to marry concepts together. And if I lack the vision of like what's happening through a bigger bet lens, then I never grasp onto the bigger concept, right? But for people who are studying strictly through the micro lens of, I just want to know how to execute on this particular flop, it probably is more important to start with a simplified strategy and then expand your way out. But like, let's look at it through the example of you specifically, Brian, because you've never run sims, right? So if you were to start tomorrow, of course, a simplified strategy would outperform whatever the fuck it is that you're currently doing. But if you played me, like let's say that we started to get you into heads up study, right? And you learned only one size per street, right? And now you play me heads up, and I'm hitting you with like 3 sizes on turns, 2 sizes on flops, 4 sizes on rivers, right? And I'm just doing them at variable frequencies. How on earth are you ever going to handle that problem, right? You're right back to where you regress to right where you were before you studied, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, if you understand the macro principles of understanding that you can continue less versus bigger bets, you can then start to intuit what counts as top of range, what counts as middle, and what counts as bottom.
Well, you understand though, like when it comes to defending against big bets, it's often non-intuitive the way that our range is actually comprised, right? It's not as simple as just like good hand continue, bad hand fold. I mean, that happens on the fringes.
It'll get you pretty far.
Will it?
Yeah.
You don't think you're massively overfolding when that's the case?
If you think like, it depends what you quantify as good hand, right? Because I'd quantify like second pair top kicker as good hand.
Okay, well, that's the
or third
problem.
pair top kicker.
But that's the problem.
Right.
You know that because you're well studied.
Yeah.
You have to remember who this advice is for if you're operating off the lens of, don't you think that this would apply at 50 NL?
Right. So
because
now,
they
yeah.
do not know that second pair or bottom pair. Like if I ask Brian, what's a good hand? What's your minimum qualification for a good hand?
What's the worst best hand you'd call it?
Top set.
Right. Tortoise favorite.
Tortoise approved.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Like you face overbet on flop. Like, what's the worst hand that you would feel very confident in continuing with?
Yeah, probably top pair.
Exactly. And that's always going to be the default.
Right. So now if you add the advice of, call it, a pair is a good hand, and you quantify getting to the river with all the pairs that you can have.
Don't you think that's reductive as opposed to just looking at what's supposed to defend at 120% pot?
It's reductive, but the EV loss is going to be negligible in theory.
No, it's not about the EV loss. That has not. We're talking about building a self-sustaining poker player, somebody who's capable of brain solving in real time.
It's funny because in like all actuality, if someone just did not fold a pair facing multiple streets of action, you're probably going to end up doing all right over the long term. But we're not going to. I would
also make a pretty strong counter that, like, if you give the advice of no matter what size you face on flop, don't fold pair. They are going to get, like, they may not lose much EV on the flop. They're going to get obliterated by the river.
If assuming more bets come in,
but they will. When you face 120% pot, you don't just like face shutdowns a lot.
Well, theoretically, you do.
You face it like half the time,
right? Practically, you're still going to face more bets. But my sort of take here, and like when I run sims and deal with these problems, I run 2 sims. I run one sim with the small bet, big bet, like have all of the knowledge available to me that I think would be used. And then I run a second sim as to how I would play in game and the bet size I faced in game.
Yeah.
Just to kind of see what the overall strategic differences is, because I've run a bunch of different spots where if you operate under the pretense of a range bet, where call it 90-10 bet check, but you just range bet, the strategies for turn and river are slightly different.
Yeah.
And that'll change your overall strategy. And the important part is knowing your strategy.
We're completely in agreement. That comparative analysis to me is the crux of this problem.
I think that's the second step.
I disagree. I don't think you can simplify without that scope of knowledge because you're going to face these bets in the wild. And like whenever that happens, like how the fuck do you react? Right? Like it's why people are so bad at dealing with 300% pot right now. Because they just don't study it and they never face it. And then they try to intuit, what am I supposed to continue with on the turn facing 300% pot? And we see a lot of missteps, right? We see like combo draws jamming in spots where like pairs are actually what like to shove, because in order to 300% pot, most of that range is going to be sets. Right?
You want to value block more than just equity.
Yes. Right. For us facing, like, because what ends up happening, right? You face 300% pot and all you've studied is 100% pot. So you just defer back to what happens facing full pot.
While being slightly tighter based off of seeing 3x
Correct.
pot.
But that's theoretically incorrect because it's a massive shift in equity thresholds between full pot and 3 pots, right? For full pot, you could bet 1 pair pretty comfortably in a lot of situations, right? For 3x pot, where SPRs call it like 10, that's a massive investment, basically insinuating that you are completely polarized. And when you look at the response difference, there's a fair amount of raising taking place facing full pot. There's almost no raising taking place facing 3x pot. I mean, obviously I'm thinking about a very specific scenario in my head, so I don't want to generalize, but like there's significantly less raising taking place when facing 3 pots. And more importantly, the candidates shift drastically. So like on wet board textures, for instance, an open-ended straight flush draw that has no showdown value versus pot is like happy to get in, right? Like play raise, get in, whatever, like jam, whatever the case may be. But facing 3 pots, suddenly that hand doesn't like doing that any longer because it loses a lot of its fold equity based off of the types of hands that should be bet folding versus bet calling. Right? So it's all about range composition at the end of the day. Right? Forget the sizings, forget everything else. The sizings are just, call them red flags or green flags for how the range is composed. And that's kind of what I'm alluding to is when we go into this mindset of simplification, it trends itself down the alley of don't worry about your composition, right?
I just wonder, because I'm sure Patrick would agree with the sentiment that more advanced looks into theoretical knowledge and seeing sims for higher stakes and like not to make your own strategy more complex, so to speak. But having the comparative analysis is still important in order to come to these conclusions.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, look, here's what it comes down to. It's the bell curve, right? You start simple, you get complex, and then you arrive back at simple with now a whole new breadth of knowledge,
Right.
having seen the complex. And what he's doing is he's basically distilling this down into a formulaic approach for those who don't care to go through the bell curve distribution.
It's almost like you have to go through the middle in order to get to the
To
other
be
side.
good, you have to go through the middle
Yeah.
to get to the other side, right? But to win,
You don't.
like, we could give Brian a betting matricy and say, just follow this strictly with these loose guidelines regarding your range composition, and he would do just fine.
If you give Brian like Mobius, like what Detox used, because I was in Detox for half a year. Like if you gave Brian that, Brian would become a winning player very, very quickly.
Yeah, but
Wait, I'm not a winning player.
Well, you'd be winning.
you
like,
would win
at 200 and
significantly
out.
more.
Yeah.
Significantly more and at a higher level. But your growth metric is extremely capped.
And you'd have a red line.
right.
Ooh, I love red line.
But like your growth is extremely capped if you're not capable of actually going through the bell curve learning process
Yeah.
yourself. That's my opinion. I'm not even bringing this up to poo-poo Patrick's thread. I actually think like it really got me thinking because I realized that the way
That is good.
No, the thread is for sure good.
Yeah.
But what I realize is that for me, whenever we're talking about these bell curve learning distributions, so to speak, I just like recognize that the middle exists and I charge towards it.
Mm-hmm.
And so my learning style kind of reflects that as well as my teaching style. Like I never want to cut corners. I never want to oversimplify because I recognize that no matter what, no matter how far along we bring you through the simplification process, at some point you're going to have to meet your maker and deal with the complexity of the game, right?
Right.
So I would always rather front load that.
Because after experience, like for myself on a personal level, when it comes to different bet sizes that I'll see and understanding range composition X, Y, and Z, right? I see it from the right side of the curve where I've gone through all the not simple stuff because I don't even remember going through that much of the simple stuff, but just seeing enough sims and seeing different bet sizes, just plugging them in, you'll see, okay, these hands continue. Why do these hands continue? And it's not just about where they are range wise, right? Because sometimes you'll see set blocker, like ace kicker, call more than call it pocket sixes on like a 10-7-3 board, right? But after seeing and understanding the concepts as to why of like the two pair outs or the ace out, trips out, unblocking the bluffs, you start to realize, oh, this hand actually makes for a really clean bluff catcher on the end if the board doesn't change.
Yep.
But that's like a very middle of the curve
Correct.
foundational knowledge that you can get from looking at the end.
Yes.
But you have to be able to look and quote unquote do your own research to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that to me,
Skirting that research is a problem.
Correct. And you know, like at the end of the day, between our two philosophies or our two methodologies, Patrick will churn out more short-term winners by a long shot.
And long-term winners. Like Detox had been
and I was
great.
going to say, and probably long-term winners too, because they won't quit. Right? It's enough inertia.
Good positive feedback.
Yeah, it's enough inertia and positive feedback loops that even if it's kind of a hack to get them to that tough point in the distribution, they will eventually meet it head on and say like, I've gotten this far. I trust in the process. Like I'll figure it out. Because
the long-term process of Detox is to have the simplified strategy where from a baseline standpoint, the EV you're giving up isn't that much. Also coupled with the data and player pool analysis, you can have the confidence in the data overall that every decision you make is going to be a positive EV decision.
Yeah,
that's the idea long term, right? And then it allows you to have the positive feedback of not even when you win or lose a hand, but knowing, okay, bluff catching here in this positive EV node is profitable. Now get to 1 million hands and see your win rate. Yeah, the issue with that though is that not that it's not a smart approach. Of course, it's genius. It's free money effectively. Yeah. But it tends to be a bit of a crutch because if you take that environment away where the data applies, what are you going to do? Like if you're playing live now. Or even if like you just get thrown into a different pool where the data is like largely just not really applicable, right? Like I doubt that ignition data translates over to Stars 500 Zoom. Right. And there's going to be different player pools and different amounts of people in the field that are going to change and skew the data. Right. So it's easy to just say like, well, we'll just fade those pools. But like, you know, at some point,
whether it's wanting to raise your or whether it's like wanting to go up in stakes or wanting to shift into more lucrative avenues like live or whatever the case may be, at some point the data will leave you.
Right. Because we've all played live poker. Bluff catching river as much as I would bluff catch online is a big torch.
Yeah.
Big mistake. But that's where the initial study and call it self-research comes in, where you have to do the comparative analysis and then use the data that you have for the pool that you're playing. So if you have the data for the pool that you are playing, it makes sense to use it.
Yeah.
And obviously venturing out into different
No,
pools.
of course, it'd be insane not to. But
like I would consider it insane to use detox data for live.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Nick and I fought about this a lot.
I mean, I'm sure we could have Nick on the podcast. Nick's played a lot of live up to this point.
Yeah, I think that the large thing that it boils down to is what they would qualify through their data set as a fish would just be like a bad reg to a live player.
And they have it a lot.
And like what we would qualify as a fish in the live realm is either just like a once in a lifetime white whale online or just doesn't exist.
Right. But where you consider like rec to be someone that's losing infinite per 100, where the
They
entire
consider it,
strategy shift is different.
Yeah, like so for them, like a giga whale would be losing like maybe 8 to 10 per 100.
Where in live they're losing 50 plus.
Yeah, maybe 100, right? Like they're losing so much money.
Which inherently makes everybody else in the game a winning player, like we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, right. So it's like I think that like, you know, in the live realm, a lot of the shit regs that we view as maybe break even or small winners or small losers actually over volume are probably losing like 3 to 5 big blinds per 100.
If the whale does not exist.
If the whale doesn't exist, if they're just forced to put in like if basically every session they put in was actually 100x the hands, right? Like you would see that true win rate come out because now the whale, the times that they get the game select and play the best games or whatever wouldn't have as much impact on their bottom line.
Right.
But hours don't translate to hands when it comes to live poker. So a lot of this gets masked.
Yeah. Variance is a lot higher live than it is online.
Yeah.
Right. Because live, you have X opportunity, X amount of times over very small sample size, where online you can play multiple hands for multiple hours and literally choose your own adventures, how many hands you play and how much you want variance to affect you. Because if you only play for an hour, of course variance is going to affect you if you play for an hour a day, a month playing online. But if you're playing 6-hour days, playing like a very consistent, call it B+ game that you're bringing to the table, where sometimes you're going to play good, sometimes you're not. Long term, you're going to be doing fine with the simplified strategy.
But it also just boils down to the actual strategies themselves too, right? So like, we could say that online has like a lot lower variance because we could put in mass volume, but truly the variance is reflective of whatever strategy or lack thereof that you're employing, right? So basically over that volume, any negative EV edges that you have will come to light and you'll basically win your true win rate.
Yeah.
Whereas in live,
you're never going to win your true win rate.
Not only will you never win your true win rate, but it could just vary, right? Like it could vary by scenario. You might just be like really good at, socially setting up this dynamic where in this particular game over the next X amount of hours with this guy steamed up in the seat that he's in with the seat that you're in, you're actually winning like 120 big blinds per 100.
Exactly, because you're now playing, you're able to capture the EV that he is losing more than everyone else because of the dynamic that you have.
Exactly.
Where online, that's a little bit less of a thing overall.
It's almost like not a thing at all. I mean, sure, there are some spots, but like there's plenty of live games where like I'm just V-pipping my button almost always because of somebody who's in the blinds.
Right.
So it goes from playing like 50% of hands to like 90. Right. Or like I'm flatting button versus like a particular spot that opens because there's a whale in the big and the whale is the one opening and I don't want to shut these people out. So it's like suddenly I'm just expanding my range like 3x what it's supposed to be at equilibrium.
Especially like from like live, that being the case, and then online when you have access to the overall data, right? And now you're making your own strategy. Your strategy is going to swing fucking hard because you're trying to capture max EV in your win rate, right? You're not playing the perfectly theoretically approach balanced style. You're saying, okay, I know when population bet checks, I can just go for it with anything. Yeah. So now you're trying to redline, win super hard, and your variance is going to swing like crazy.
I mean, that's kind of what happens live, but it's the opposite of the variance swinging crazy, right? Like the easiest example is that in live, from almost every position, you're going to raise deuces, especially if you're sitting deep stack, right? Or you're going to call raises with deuces.
You're playing a pot and trying to flop a deuce.
Yeah, so it's like you're almost always set mining with deuces when you're in a live realm. And the reason is that people can make hundreds of big blinds worth of mistakes post.
Right.
Like you're basically playing the I'm going to stack them with good hand game.
Right. Big hand, big bet.
Yeah, and like you just do that, right? Like that's a big part of the live strategy is bad player put money in pot. I have hand that can flop relatively nuts, and I'll stack him often enough that you forget about the 3 big blinds that you lose over and over and over again because you just win 300
because it doesn't
the
matter.
time you make a set.
Right.
Whereas like online, you lose those 3 blinds over and over and over again, and then you make a set and you like pick up the pot through a c-bet.
Right, where sometimes online more so, you're not going to get, call it the max value that you have. So in theory, you're supposed to mix the opens because of rake based off of position. Where deuces, when you're opening low jack, is supposed to open 15%. Because it's a low frequency open, when you do get 3-bet, you call. So most of the time you're actually folding. But because you open that 15% of the time, when you get 3-bet for board coverage, now you call and play a pot.
Right.
Right. And then also when it comes to your range construction, this now becomes the bottom of your range to use to bluff later. Where in live, if you keep having deuces, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, you're going to have too many pairs that you could get taken advantage of in theory.
Yeah, in theory.
But you don't.
Is the big thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you always just play the pairs.
Yeah, that's kind of the big separation here where it gets tough to hold this conversation all in the same vein is that
it's the left side, right side.
Yeah, it's just live more so than anywhere else. The theory and the practice don't really meet in the middle.
You just know that playing all of these hands and the variance that each session is going to entail with the person that's potentially able to give you more money than you're allowed to get is going to be worth the smaller investment of calling the 3-bet.
Fuck you grinning at.
Just talking to the chat.
Yeah, just talking to the chat.
Because like when it comes to the left right, even for online and oh man, I shouldn't open this amount, this, that, whatever. When you're playing smaller stakes online, called like 500 and lower, you still know that people are playing post horribly, that you still want to open 100%.
Yeah.
You just trust in the fact that your pre-flop and post-flop edge is going to manifest itself over the long term.
Yeah.
So you play wider.
Yeah.
Because you're incentivized to.
Yeah. I think for a lot of us, that was an excuse we used to play wider.
I think it's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, well, again, it's coming full circle. It's like when you can actually conceptually understand where the money's coming from.
Right.
As opposed to just saying like, I can look Bacala Joe in the face and know that I'm a better post-flop player than him, so I'm going to play all the fucking hands. And it's like, well, that's not wrong.
It's not.
But you're giving a lot back that you don't realize.
In some cases, because you know on certain board textures or ways of just overall experience, right? Because I've played millions of hands online of, okay, I know that this line of small bet, overbet jam doesn't get called enough, just empirically based off of my sample. And I'm going to follow and trust that and hope that works. And that's a potential strategy. And you get wrecked when you start getting overcalled. But that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So when it does, you have to make adjustments.
Sure. Seems reasonable. Well, you missed the big convo yesterday, so we're going to wrap on it today, give you your crack at it, Lamana. The FTX stuff, you have any money on there?
I did.
It's gone?
It's gone.
Market zero.
Into my wallet. Don't
worry. They didn't eviscerate it for you.
No. See, you got to be sharp. No, I honestly, I did have money on there, and it kind of goes to show that like if you are going to get into crypto, if you are going to invest your hard-earned money into different things, you need to know about it. You need to be educated about it, and
follow smart people.
Yeah, or follow small, but like you have to understand how it works, right? So like, I knew very easily how to move it off the exchange onto a cold wallet, right?
Okay.
And when this, all this FTX stuff started going down, that's what I did. I moved it immediately. I know people that who didn't and lost a lot of money, which sucks. But it's just you have to kind of take this as a lesson on when you're investing to like. Go ahead.
That's probably minimizing it a bit.
That definitely minimizing. Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing like an Enron type of
yes, of course,
level of theft here.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, just to catch up, anybody who's been living under a rock, FTX was the second leading exchange right behind Binance, who they actually had not a working partnership with, but they were like friendly, I guess. The CEO of Binance actually, I guess, kind of understood that they were illiquid or I guess unable to come up with enough capital if there was a run on the bank. And he effectively started this siege on their funds through some tweets and some messaging, basically just trying to create some level of panic around those who had money on FTX.
Well, yeah, the token, the FTT token, it came to light that it was being used in this hedge fund, right?
Right.
So they had it on their
Alameda,
balance.
yeah.
Yeah, Alameda had it on their balance sheet, right? And so then once they realized that, they were like, oh, well, we're just going to dump it and it's going to fuck them over.
Yeah. So yeah, very strategic, obviously, by Binance, but also just kind of very similar to Black Friday type-esque understanding, where it's like, you know, a few events happen in a certain sequence that erupt this major scandal that otherwise probably goes unnoticed, because like much like Full Tilt, they're making so much money that so long as this chain of events doesn't occur, no one's any the wiser.
What is the full tilt story, so to speak? Like in a very short amount of time, like why did it collapse if they were doing roughly the same idea?
The simple answer is that they did not segregate player funds from personal or company funds.
Okay.
So they were overspending. Same thing as FTX. FTX was like 10x leveraging their cash, their capital. So that means when people need their money and say like, hey, I want to cash out, they go, cool, we'll get that to you in 30 days. And then they'll try to get enough customers to then pay that balance.
So enough people from Full Tilt also wanted their money where they had an issue.
Black Friday happened. Everybody had to cash out.
Got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So in that instance, it was one singular event caused the collapse.
The event happened. Everyone's like, give me my money now. And they're like, oh, shit.
Correct.
Yeah, the owner of, or CEO and owner of Coinbase was on the All In podcast. And he was saying that he's like, well, I was looking at my balance sheet, right? And he's like, I know what we make, and we did more revenue than FTX. And here's the amount of money we had to spend on advertising and sponsorships. And then there's FTX, you know, putting their names on arenas and everywhere, right? They're everywhere. He's like, where are they getting this money? He's like, this doesn't make sense.
And
he's
it
like,
didn't.
He's like, yeah, sure, maybe the hedge fund is just printing money, right? He's like, but this really doesn't make sense where they're getting all their money. And then now it's come to light.
Yeah. So it all comes back to SBF in this instance, Sam
Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, Bankman-Fried. And over the last 24 hours or so, 36 hours, I guess, he's kind of been putting out this cryptic tweet thread. So he was going one letter at a time after putting out what, and it ultimately resulted in what happened. Since then, today, he's put out another 5 tweets. He says, this is not legal advice, not financial advice. This is all as I remember it, but my memory may be faulty. He said, I'll get into what happened. For now, let's talk about where we are today. For what it's worth, like this type of tweeting where you go through this cryptic thing for a day and a half, and then you go, this isn't advice type thing. Like you put a warning label on it, right? And then on top of that, you say, I'll get what happened, which is the precursor to all this. Like what happened was the cryptic tweet he put out. He goes, I'll get to that, but first, let's talk about today.
Yeah, while people have billions of dollars locked up on his exchange.
Correct. Well, not even locked up. We know it's zero.
Well, that's what I mean.
Because of that hack.
I mean,
yeah.
it's frozen, I should say. They don't have it, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't freeze what's not there.
The Iceman froze you.
So he says, to the best of my knowledge, as of 11/7, with the potential for errors, Alameda had more assets than liabilities. Alameda had margin positions on FTX International. FTX US had enough to repay all customers. So it sounds like he's trying to imply that this is all cooked up and that somehow everything that is being circulated publicly now is just FUD, and that FTX US actually, to his knowledge, actually has funds, that to his knowledge, Alameda had more assets than liabilities, that to his knowledge, Alameda had a margin position on FTX International. And, you know, basically he's trying to generate this narrative that all will be well. that the money will be returned. Like, that's what I'm taking from this.
That's somewhere between potentially more than $10 billion will find its way back.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Sure.
wait, how much did you say?
Over 10 billion, right?
I think it's more than that.
Yeah, more than that. I was
Yeah,
saying
it sounds
10 billion as the floor.
Something around that,
Oh, I thought it was significantly more.
maybe.
I mean, I could be wrong, but
A lot.
It's a lot.
It's a very
regardless.
unfathomable amount of money. I
yeah,
can't
it's
even
a sick amount.
I can't even imagine $1 billion, let alone 10
Yeah.
times of that.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, people, who knows if anybody will get anything back? It'll probably be some sort of fraction of what they had on there.
I mean, maybe I'm out on a limb saying this, but it's going to be zero. Like, we know that it's going to be. There's no government bailout here. This isn't the 2008 financial crisis.
So they filed for bankruptcy, and so usually what happens is
they liquidate.
They go
but,
in.
but
They
you
go in,
heard
they
what
liquid-
happened, right? This weekend,
when they
their funds are all liquidated. They got hacked.
Right. Yeah, not all of them, but a lot of them. Right.
I mean, I heard
It
it
seemed
was
as if
like
it
just
was
shy of
zero.
$1 billion.
Yeah, it was somewhere around 600 million.
Oh, I heard 9.
Yeah, and then they converted it all to ETH, and like that wallet is now one of like the biggest holders of ETH
Yeah,
in the world,
yeah,
and it's just
yeah. So I heard it was upwards of 900 million. But either way, I don't know that there's any assets left.
yeah.
Right. So it's like he follows up and says, my one goal is to do right by customers. I'm contributing what I can by doing so. I'm meeting in person with regulators and working with teams to do what
This
we can for
fucking guy.
customers. And after that, investors, but first customers. My goal, clean up and focus transparency, make customers whole. This,
What
like,
does that
this
even
is
mean?
this is delusions of grandeur.
Mhm.
Like, you're meeting with regulators to regulate what?
Yeah, what's he talking about?
To mount up, obviously.
Right, like, what are you what are you going to regulate, man? You broke every fucking law in the
Right.
regulatory book.
Right. Is he? He's just saving. I don't know what he's doing. He's
It seems
trying to-
like he's concocting some sort of story where, like, everything you've heard is false. I ran a tight ship. Everything is on the up and up.
Listen, when these things happen, people get desperate and they do whatever they like. You know, when your back's against the wall, you're gonna
Yeah.
do anything you can to get out of the situation. How illogical it is.
Yeah, I agree with you, but the difference is here we're dealing with a genius type, right? And, like, everybody that seems to be well within the know of the circle is basically saying, like, he's playing chess. He's always 10 moves ahead before he makes any of these statements and things of that nature. It's like, we already know he's trying to flee to a country that doesn't extradite.
So do you think that this happening is all part of the master plan?
So here's what a couple accounts that have been following closely said about this. Baraka Wall says, is Sam typing his thread in slow motion and deleting selected tweets simultaneously so that bots won't detect it? Is that the reason he's doing this? And it came to find out that, like, yes, it actually worked. So basically, it seems as though the bots have like a 1 minute trigger window where they only check like every 60 seconds to update these accounts.
Delete one, add one. Delete one,
Correct.
add one. And
So
they
the
can
second
never-
he presses delete, he types another singular character, tweets it out, and now he has the exact same tweet count that he had 60 seconds ago.
Yep.
And that allowed the bots to not notice a bunch of these deleted tweets. So I guess that they said, like, his last dozen tweets, this was 20 hours ago, so sometime mid-afternoon yesterday, his last like dozen tweets hadn't been noticed by the bots.
So the detectives are on the case.
They're on the case, man. The internet is unfucking defeated when it
Right.
comes to this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Man.
you cannot be in a public space and be crooked these days.
Okay, so if I'm seeing this from like the call it, like SBF is like the anti-hero anime villain type where he's doing all these nefarious things. What is the positive that he's trying to get from this?
Yeah, I mean, his own freedom, I assume. Like, there's no arc here where he's ultimately the hero. He's the anti-hero.
That's the issue. The issue is in the anime story arcs, he actually is the hero because
Right.
there's a big scheme, you know?
Yeah, no.
Here, there's no scheme. Here, they got you, man.
There's a scheme, but it's not for the betterment
it's
of
not
everyone
for the
else.
better of the people, yeah.
Yeah, I can say with relative confidence, I don't, what the fuck do I know? I guess I'm only following from afar, and I'm just watching people who are much smarter than me when it comes to this space.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel with a relatively high degree of certainty that people with FTX funds are getting near zero back. This isn't an FTP thing. This isn't Full Tilt,
Right.
where there was, a player pool and software and like all these assets worth recovering. Like Stars lost a little bit on bailing them out, but future-wise, they gained a lot.
They got a W, big W for Stars.
Yeah, they became the number one site in the world at the time. They basically bought themselves a goodwill pass into getting into the United States whenever it did become regulated. And we see that they're one of 3 operators. It's them, MGM, and which is Party Poker. So them, MGM / Party, and WSOP. And like, that's it, right? So they didn't do it out of the goodness of their heart.
No, they saw opportunity.
Correct. And there's none
okay
here.
sometimes.
There's none here. The number one competitor that would have potentially bailed them out is the one who fucking broke them.
Yeah, they're like, hey, come here. We're gonna bail you out. Never mind, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they took a look at the books. It took them less than a day to
They
be like,
swooped out.
we
They said-
want nothing to do with
That's
this.
what I don't think people remember is like for when Full Tilt went down, it's such a distant memory now. We feel like we all got paid back quickly. Stars paid out like that day.
Yeah.
You could transfer your account balance to your bank like literally that day.
Yeah.
Okay. So when people sold money from their account, like on cents on the dollar,
Full Tilt took 2.5 years to start paying people back.
okay.
And that entire 2.5 year window, people were selling Full Tilt money cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
And
This
it was
was-
going for like 75, 80
This
cents.
is also happening with FTX.
Right, but
last
it happened
week
for
in
like
the-
12 hours.
Yeah.
It's the midst of it. Yeah, people were like, they had like multi-million-dollar accounts, and they're like, I have a $50 million account, and I'm selling it at 73 cents on the dollar.
Oh my God, I saw like multi-million
I
dollar
saw
accounts selling
20
10
cents.
cents.
Well, I'm sure
15.
it started at about
Yeah.
73, and it kept decreasing.
And even
I just
that,
think
they
about
were
all
like-
the people that took them up on that offer.
I mean,
Now-
honestly,
now they're
didn't-
just left
from
holding
what
the
I
bag.
saw, there wasn't much of a market. All
Yeah.
of the sellers wanted like 15 to 20%.
There couldn't have been much of a market because everyone saw the writing on the wall at that point.
Yeah. Everything I saw, everybody wanted like 15 to 20 cents on the dollar, and all the buyers were offering like around 10.
Yeah.
So like they were just so far off.
So just for clarification's sake, when it came to the Full Tilt stuff and people selling like 80 cents on the dollar, if somebody bought those accounts, they actually got repaid in full.
Well, the person they bought from would get repaid in full, and then that person would
Out of good faith,
They would
give-
owe them the money.
Right, but it's very possible to kind of.
I mean, yeah, it's the poker community. Everything's a fucking handshake deal.
Right, exactly. But in the sense, if you had 100K on and I bought it from you for 80,
Yep.
and then the money after 2.5 years came
I just
back,
owe you 80K. No matter what. Like the second that the money is released from Full Tilt, I instantly owe you 80K.
Yeah.
And if it's never released, I owe you nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
There was some money to be made then because they actually got the money back to everyone.
Correct.
This goes to show that, like, the crypto space it really is the Wild Wild West still. It's still
Super
in
new.
its infancy. So, like, I don't know where this is going to go, how this is all going to get fleshed out. I think that, like, the big coins, Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to eventually.
I for one liked when everybody was rich.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, we talked about
Right.
this a little bit yesterday. Like, it is in its infancy in some regard, but a lot of that is a byproduct of the fact that it wasn't meant. Blockchain technology was not meant to create a new financial market.
Right, of course. Right, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Right, it was just like, oh, we have this alternative store of value. We have this alternative
It's a
currency
way.
where-
It was a
right.
way for peer-to-peer transactions,
That were
interactions.
quick and cheap.
It was effectively a way to skirt government
Yeah.
in daily activities.
Yeah, and then these giant institutions came in and
Correct.
turned it into a financial market. And
Yeah.
they did essentially what Wall Street did when they weren't regulated.
Right.
It was like,
Right.
hey, let's not make this a financial market. Okay, sure. Now I'm going to come in and make it a financial market.
Yeah. I mean, that's what allowed all these coins to soar, but also allowed them to come crashing down.
Yeah, and yeah.
Markets,
Don't get me
That and
wrong.
all
Like,
the
don't get me wrong. I think some.
liquidity in the market.
I think some level of regulation will be helpful, but we have to remember that this is a global market, not a local one. So us creating regulation is probably just going to be harmful to United States consumers more
Right,
so
it
than
doesn't
it
really
is to
change
the
much.
Right.
right. It's not going to move the needle in the overall space. And also, even if we can come up with some sort of like global like legislation or whatever that regulates this market to some degree, stuff like this can still happen. Like
Yeah.
Ponzi's happen all the time, right? This is a
This
is
is
a
life.
byproduct of intelligent people
Right.
being able to work over others for billions and billions of dollars. Like the Madoff thing had nothing to do with there not being enough regulation, right? It was just him having a pretty sharp and corrupt way of getting around, not even getting around it, but just like breaking the rules effectively.
I saw a tweet from an account that said that with the Madoff situation, 81% of people that were involved got their initial investment back, whereas with this SBF FTX thing, you're getting fucking nothing.
Right.
Yeah,
for all intents and purposes. Like, you're getting wrecked.
Wow, that's crazy. Madoff, I believe, was sentenced to life. And
Basically,
he actually made like 80+% of his entire clientele whole. They just lost out on the profit. Like, he just stole their profits. Imagine how much worse it has to be if
you get no money.
You just rugged every
money.
penny. Like, I'm not going to be sort of selfish. I'm going to be the whole way.
I'm going to be 100% selfish.
Greedy. Yeah.
Never go full selfish.
That reference is impeccable.
You're welcome.
No, it's just that movie reference. Whatever. One last shout out to WPT Global, home for your chance to win your way into the WPT Championship event at the Win. $15 million guaranteed prize pool. Don't forget, you have an opportunity still to win your seat. That's a $10,400 package. With an additional $2,000 for travel. WPT Global is giving away a seat nightly, 1 seat guaranteed that always has an overlay, as well as 8 seats guaranteed this Sunday. That'll be the final 8-seat guarantee. I believe last Sunday's overlaid by 4 seats. So be sure to get in there if you're in a territory that you can. If not, be sure to follow all of the ambassadors that are grinding these out as we being you. Where are you? When are you giving things away, man? You know, I'm running bad, man. What do you want from me?
Are you even playing?
You know, don't kick me when I'm down.
Are you even playing?
Yeah,
we
I'm
need
fucking
to,
playing.
we need to build Berkey up and give him the confidence he needs so he can get these seats to our listeners.
You know what the issue is?
What we need to do.
Have you even tried yoga?
Yeah, he's right.
Have you licked a frog?
He's right. I haven't licked a frog.
Do you even lift, bro?
I do lift. Maybe that's the anti-run good though.
Lick a frog.
I need to lick a frog.
For the people.
What's more likely, you dunking a basketball or you winning another seat before this is all said and done?
Based.
Oh, definitely me winning a seat.
All right, let's do it then.
Definitely me winning.
We have to give stuff away, man.
I got
Ethan
it, man.
won one.
Yeah, I'm fucking Santa Claus. I get it.
You're not Santa Claus.
He gave away 2 seats. Let's not.
Yeah, I
forget
gave
that.
away 2 fucking seats.
Listen,
But we want more. We want more. We always want more. We're not looking in the past. We're looking in the future.
as the marketing committee would like you to give away more seats.
Speaking of seats, we have 1 Academy seat remaining for February's 2nd to the 5th. That is the week prior to the Super Bowl, so there's no excuse not to come. We have nothing going on that weekend. Nobody watches the fucking Pro Bowl. That's obvious.
Didn't they stop with the Pro Bowl and they just have skills now?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
They knew it was a
if you would like to be a part of the Poker Out Loud version of the Academy, please head to academy.solveforwhy.io. Be sure to sign up, grab that last seat. We haven't announced new dates yet. I'll get on that this week. I'm guessing it's going to be either late March or early April. It's just going to depend on the tournament schedules and what the fuck else is going on in the company. But you can anticipate new dates being announced soon. Also, we have a new episode of Poker Out Loud out today. Be sure to head over to solveforwhy.io if you want to check that out. We will be running a Black Friday special next week as well. Don't want to tease it yet because we haven't solidified the details,
tuned.
but be sure to pay attention. We'll get all of that out next week. We'll have a coupon code or a sign-up code, whatever we decide on, sometime midweek next week. Appreciate you being back, my fellow Yinzer.
It's good to be back.
I've missed you. I've missed this chair.
It's a nice
She
chair.
feels nice. I do immediately get the second I come back into this chair though. Like I immediately get usurped. Landon's just right out there stepping on my dick.
What are you talking?
You know, it was just like I never left.
Listen, man. I was trying to help. I get it. You don't want my help. That's fine. I'm done.
The intersection is always open
Done.
for you, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm done.
I'm coming right back to that green chair.
I am not.
Look how
helping
comfy
you.
he looks. Look.
Dude, I'm so happy.
Now
I
you
have
know
this
how your mom feels.
No, I'm
you know?
so happy I have this chair because my lower back right now is not having it.
Oh man, we're just gonna have to get Andre to come over and walk all over it.
I need to be fixed. I want to dunk a basketball before the end of the year, just to like dunk on you for this bet. Literally dunk on you. Literally and figuratively.
Can't wait. We will be back this time tomorrow, noon Pacific time. Thank you guys all so much for joining us. See you then.
Peace.
Peace.